This video will go over a brief review of setting up a new camera and some of the camera attributes. If you would like to see some of your camera attributes, you can go up to the View menu and say Select Camera and hit the Attribute Editor button, and this will bring up a number of options that you will be able to change for that camera. You can also go up to the View menu for the camera you would like to view and go down to the Camera Attribute Editor, and there's an option right here which will automatically open it up for you. If you would like to create a new camera, you can do so from the Panels menu by saying Panels, Perspective, and it gives you the option of creating a new perspective camera. Or if you want to create a new orthographic one, you can go down to Orthographic, and you can create a new front, a new side, or a new top camera. Another way to create a perspective camera is to go up to the Create menu and find Cameras, and we have three different options for camera, camera and aim, camera, aim, and up. Let's go over the camera first. When you hit the camera button, you notice that we have a camera icon that shows up in the middle of our screen. So if I use the Move tool to move it out of the way, you'll see that it looks like a camera. And if we go into our quadrant view, we can change any one of these quadrants to see what this camera sees. So if we go up to Panels, under Perspective, you can see we have now an option for Camera 1, the new camera we just created. Now we're looking through our new camera, and as I tumble in this viewport, you will see this camera icon moving. So let's move this into position. And you can see that camera moving every time I make an adjustment in this viewport. So let's look at the attributes on this new camera. Go to the Camera Attribute Editor. One of the attributes that we have is called Controls, and it's set up for camera. And remember, when we were creating the camera, we had a few different options, and here they are. Like with the lights, how we're able to change from a spot to a point to an ambient light through a drop-down menu, we can do this with the cameras also. If we switch to, actually, let's move this over so we can see our camera in this window, so we can see what changes happen. Here's our camera, and if I switch to Camera and Aim, now you can see that we have this other little line stretching off from the camera, and we have another node right here if I can click on it. Okay, this is the camera target. So wherever I move this around, the camera will follow. So you can watch in this viewport as I move this target or interest, the camera will follow it. So I can put this on top of the sphere. So now it's on top of the sphere, and wherever I tumble this camera around, it will always be pointing at that target. And then let's go to our attribute editor, and we will look at the next one, Camera, Aim, and Up. And it's the same thing where we have our target, where we can move it up and down, move the target wherever we want to, and we can move our camera, same thing, but we have this extra node up top. And this is our aim. And as we move it around, you can see it starts tumbling our camera. So that is the extra control that is set up on this camera. More than likely, the regular camera will be all you'll need, but if you would like to have these extra access to these extra controls, this is where you would find them. So let's go to our attribute editor on the new camera we created, and we'll just go back to a regular camera. So this is our new camera, and the next set of attributes is the focal length, and it's at the 35 right now, and this corresponds to a 35 millimeter lens on a regular camera, regular movie camera. As we increase our focal length, it flattens out the scene. And as we decrease it, it creates more perspective. Again, 35 is a fairly standard lens, and more than likely, unless you're doing something like wide landscapes or very close-up macro shots, would you need to change the focal length. But just know that that option is there, and it can alter how your camera views your environment. We have a bunch of other options here we're not really going to go over right now. And we do have an environment. If we want to change the background color, we can come in here and change this color to anything we want. And let's do a render. So because we changed the background color, now we can see our color is green. Or we can change it to an orange. Instead of using the background color, you can use this image plane option to put an image into the background of your scene. There's just a couple other things I just want to point out about cameras. In our view menu, we have a section called camera settings. And in here, we have something called a resolution gate, which is very important. As soon as I click on resolution gate, you can see we all of a sudden have some borders, and we have these numbers, 640 by 480. And this corresponds to the size that our image is going to render. And this border shows you exactly what will be rendered, what is in the renderable area. You can see that whatever's inside here will be rendered. So if we zoom it in a little bit, you can see that we still see our objects through this gate, but anything outside of here will not render. This will be very helpful when you're just trying to set up your renders so you know exactly what will be in the render view. Some other options that we have are a field chart, a safe action, or a safe title. You can see these just give you references. They will not render, but they're here to give you reference for setting up objects in your scene. And we have a field chart. If you need to use those, this is where to find them. If you would like to turn this gate mask off, You can come into camera settings and turn the gate mask off. Personally, I like having that on there. It makes it a lot easier to visualize what will be in the view of your render. And as I said, this number corresponds to the size of the image that you're going to render. And if we go to our render settings, under common, you can see that we have our render set up as 640 by 480, same as these numbers over here. So this will always read what the size of your rendered image will be. So if we change this to 1K, you can see it changes to 1024 by 1024. And that is the basics of creating new cameras and the camera settings.